Hey, we've got our first attendees, so I think we'll get off and running since we are at 3 o'clock, and we want to give as much presentation time to Sam and Matthew from UW-STOUT that we can. We have until 3:45 today. I do want to run through just a couple of housekeeping items before we get off and running. As you're coming into the room today, you might notice that both your camera is off and you are muted. That is just to maintain good bandwidth for everyone here in the webinar today. So the way that you will interact with Matthew and Sam would be through the Q&A function. So you can go ahead and ask any questions through that function. They're going to do their best to answer any questions live today. But if there are questions that we don't get to, no worries, because we will follow up with those questions offline at another time. Two other things to remember: we do still have quite a bit of our virtual college exploration week to go. So feel free to head over to WACAC.com. That's WACAC.com. You're going to find two things there. First off, you're going to be able to find other sessions that you might be interested in and can register for, but you'll also be able to access recordings for this session and any other sessions that you either did not get to view in live, or that you just would like to view at a later date, or even possibly again. So with that, I am going to stop my share. I'm going to turn over the control to our fantastic panelists, Matthew and Sam, to learn a little bit more about UW-STOUT.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. So I am just going to pull up our PowerPoint presentation today. And let me make that full screen. So my name is Matthew Morgan. I'm a freshman admissions counselor at UW-STOUT. I've been with the university for a little over a year now. I'll be the individual going through the PowerPoint with you today. I am joined today by a fantastic co-host who I will let introduce herself in a minute. She'll be the one manning the chat. And without further ado.
Hi, I'm Sam Secra. I'm another freshman admissions counselor here at Stout. I've been with Stout for about 3 years, and I was a previous student. So just like Matt said, I will not be talking so much today versus answering those questions that come in through the chat. So please feel free to ask anything you're curious about during the session. If it's something that's really personal, I'll probably type back and message you privately. If it's something that I feel would be better addressed for the full group, Matthew's going to present for about 30 minutes today, leaving about 15 minutes after for Q&A. So at that time, I'll read those more broad questions out loud, and then we'll answer those verbally for all of you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sam. So just kind of previewing what we'll be talking about today. We'll talk about some details as it pertains to the size of the campus. We'll talk about what it means to be a polytechnic university. We'll take a brief look at some of the social affordances that are available to our students when they come to UW-STOUT. We'll look at cost of attendance. And then for students interested in applying for fall 2021, we'll take a look at what you can do for that. And then lastly, like Sam said at the end, we'll have some time if you have questions and they haven't been answered while I'm presenting, we'll have some time to go over those. That being said, we can get started with the presentation portion. So what we always say about UW-STOUT is that we are a mid-sized school. We're not the biggest university or the smallest. We have roughly 8,400 students who attend UW-STOUT. With being a mid-sized school, some classes do tend to be a little bit bigger, 60 to 70 students in the class. Biggest class I've heard of since coming to UW-STOUT is 150 students. However, once you start taking classes that relate specifically to your major, that average lecture size does shrink from about 24 to 30 students. For labs, should you end up in one of those, it's about 18 students per section. So a small class and lab sizes, it's really nice because you do have easier access to your peers and your professor. You can really rely on the professor for professional advice or even academic assistance. Should you need to do so, it won't feel uncomfortable. Other great thing about all of our classes and labs is that these are all taught by established faculty members who have years of industry experience. Another really important thing about UW-STOUT's learning model, it's this word polytechnic. If you were someone like me, maybe you had never heard of this word prior to coming to UW-STOUT, and that is totally fair. If you can remember hands-on and career-focused, you have a really great working definition of what this word means and what this learning model aims to accomplish. Up on the screen is the official definition of what a polytechnic school is. What I'd like to do is I'd just like to highlight the 3 learning tenets that you see listed below the official definition, starting with applied learning. At UW-STOUT, we have 230 different labs on campus, about 3 times as many labs as classrooms. So with that being said, there is a guarantee that no matter the major you study here at UW-STOUT, you will have some type of hands-on learning. That hands-on learning will depend based on the major you study. I always say if you are a student studying engineering, you're not going to have the same type of hands-on learning as someone who studies art. So it might differ a little bit based on what you study, but no matter what you study, hands-on learning will be really readily available. When looking at this career-focused learning tenet, for a lot of our students, we ask them to complete an in-field experience before they graduate. And when we say in-field experience, this can be an internship, a co-op, maybe a professional research project, something along those lines. Biggest reason why this is in place, students, you will find when you start doing interviews, employers will ask you about 1,000,000 times what kind of professional knowledge you have as it relates to your major. We know that, and we want you to be able to have a well-rounded resume when you leave our school, so you feel ready to take that next step. Really cool thing about this requirement, it doesn't have to be completed locally or even regionally. Students may choose to complete an internship in Menominee, Wisconsin, where UW-Stout is located. They may choose to complete a co-op in their hometown. If an opportunity like that presents itself, we encourage you, jump on that, get that experience. This is also to say though that we've had students complete this requirement in California, Colorado. We had one student at the Adidas headquarters in Germany. So there are a lot of awesome opportunities for students to fulfill that experience while gaining a lot of other neat experiences as well. Ties in really nicely with this last learning tenet that you see here, collaboration. We do have a career services office here on campus, so should a student need assistance with interview prep or having their resume reviewed, or maybe just being connected with industry professionals, the career services office can help students with that. We also do host one of the largest career fairs in the Midwest on campus every semester. We had 420 companies show up in the fall of 2018, and roughly 330 companies come up in the spring of 2019. So students get really great experience with interviewing and networking, and they don't even have to leave our campus to do so. Switching gears a little bit, looking specifically at the majors that UW-Stout offers. Our majors, as you might see here on the left-hand side of the screen, they're organized into 6 different career clusters. I just want to touch upon these clusters very, very briefly, starting with information technology and communications. Those are majors like computer science, programs that teach students how to work hands-on and in-depth with various forms of technology. For business and management, like the name of that cluster suggests, those are programs that teach students different disciplines as it relates to business and leadership. We have more traditional programs like business administration, as well as more unique programs like construction management and Gulf enterprise management. For education, we do offer programs in early childhood ed and special ed, but should a student ever want to teach a specific subject like art, that is a possibility as well. For the human and social sciences, these are programs like psychology and criminal justice. These are majors that teach students how to work hands-on and really improve the well-being of different individuals and families. For art design and graphics, we do have the largest art design and graphics program in both Wisconsin and Minnesota. These are programs that allow students to test themselves and express themselves both academically and creatively. And these are going to be majors like studio art, graphic design, graphic communications, so on and so forth. And lastly, within the science, engineering, and math career cluster are all of UW-Stout's STEM majors. And this can include applied science, applied mathematics, UW-Stout's engineering programs. Specifically with UW-Stout's engineering majors, really great thing is that there's a lot of overlap that exists between those different programs. So if you're someone who comes to Stout studying mechanical engineering as a freshman, but then maybe you come back as a sophomore and you want to make the switch to manufacturing engineering, you can do so, really lose no sort of ground for graduating on time because so much overlap exists between the different programs. One other thing I'll say, if you are a student who's not fully declared on what you want to study, you're not fully decided, I cannot stress to you enough how perfectly normal and how perfectly okay that is. Same shoes that I was in when I was a freshman in college. I knew I wanted to study something. I had zero clue what that was. The same shoes that about 40% of our incoming freshmen are also in when they come to college. Please note, we do have an advisement center here on campus. So if you need some assistance making that decision, you can be paired with an advisor. They will work with you, learn your skills and interests, and suggest something for you to study based off of that. It's not a decision that you have to make on your own if you don't want to. And then when it comes to getting involved on campus, we have a lovely foam finger in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and you can see the words "Pick One" on the foam finger. UW-Stout is very big on the Pick One campaign. It's a campaign advocating for students to get involved and pick one activity or club or hobby to join while they are a student. Couple main reasons why UW-Stout is so passionate and advocates so strongly for students to get involved. Studies have actually found that when students get involved, they do better with their time management skills and their academics. Additionally, when you join a student org, you have an easier time meeting people with similar interests to yours, and you have an easier time feeling at home at the school you are attending. We have 152 different student organizations that students can choose from to join. These extracurriculars really range anywhere from personal interests to more academic interests. So we definitely encourage students, just take a look into what UW-Stout has to offer because there are a lot of great things and clubs for students to join. In addition to that, we offer 18 different NCAA D3 sports that students can try out for. We also offer intramural sports throughout the year on campus. We have competitive sport clubs, which are pretty much like a collegiate version of high school sports. When you're on one of these teams, you are still playing at an amateur level, but you do get to travel to other schools and play kits from other universities. And then lastly, we also do have the Stout Adventures office, where students can go to rock climb and rent outdoor equipment while they're here on campus. We also offer nearly 200 different study abroad programs in over 40 different countries. Programs really range anywhere from 1 week to a full academic year. So if you have even the smallest interest in studying abroad, please get in contact with our Office of International Education. Chances are very high they could find you one program, if not more, that would fit with any and all circumstances that come up. When it comes to cost of attendance and what it would cost to attend UW-Stout, like the chart on the screen illustrates, what you'd be responsible for paying can depend on residency. So if you're a student coming from Wisconsin, this is the column that would apply to you. Next column over through Minnesota reciprocity, those are the rates that would apply to Minnesota folks. We also participate in the Midwest Student Exchange Program, and you can see a full list of states that participate in this program listed below. If you're coming from one of these states, these are the rates that would apply to you. And then lastly, students who are not from Wisconsin or Minnesota or not from one of the MSEP states, these are the rates that would apply to you. When it comes to tuition and fees, we are a per credit school. So that figure you see in the first row, it's based off the assumption that a student would take 30 credits while they are a student in school. 15 credits in the fall, 15 credits in the spring. So if you take maybe 26 credits your freshman year, that figure is going to be a little bit less. If you take 32 credits, it's going to be a little bit more. It all depends on what you take per semester and for the year. When you pay that amount for tuition and fees, it covers taking classes here at UW-Stout, but that's not all it covers. You do get access to the things you see here up on the screen. We are a laptop school, so when students come to UW-Stout, they will get a free laptop. They get it during first year orientation, and then when that laptop turns 2 years old, you give us that 2-year-old laptop, we provide you with a newer laptop. You will also have free access to all the software that you need to complete your coursework while you are a student. Additionally, when it comes to textbooks, there's a small fee for renting those books. However, that fee is built into that tuition figure you saw on the previous slide. So a lot of times it does not cost you any extra money to rent the books that you need. There may be a time or two where you have to purchase a book on your own. If that is the case, we encourage you to look into Amazon or a used bookstore. Great places to get books in that situation. When it comes to student activities, we have a lot of free student activities that students can attend throughout the year. We have comedians coming to campus, guest speakers, musicians, occasionally hypnotists, things like that. As long as you have your student ID card, you can attend those for free. We also do have a health services department on campus, so should a student ever fall ill or maybe they need counseling, we can provide certain services for free. When it comes to medication, there is an additional minimal cost, and for something major like a broken bone, x-ray, surgery, we can't take care of that here on campus, but within the city of Menominee, we do have the Marshfield Clinic, a Mayo Clinic, and a Prevea Clinic, so we do have local resources for major emergencies. For technology, should a problem ever arise on your university laptop, maybe it's something that's normal wear and tear, or something that would normally be covered under warranty. For situations such as those, you can take your computer to the technology help desk, and they can fix whatever problems arise for free. You will also have the option to rent out certain technological services, like a clicker for a class presentation, through our library for free should you need that type of service. We do have a recreation complex on campus, sometimes referred to as the multi-purpose room. It's a big indoor track. Tennis courts and volleyball courts can be set up in this room. Basketball hoops are set up throughout. Students do have free access to that facility throughout the year. If you are someone who prefers working out at a traditional fitness center, with free weights, ellipticals, all that jazz, we do have 2 different spaces like those on campus. It is a separate fee we ask you to pay if you'd like to access those rooms. How much we'd be asking you to pay just depends on how long you'd like the membership. If you'd like the membership for an academic year, it's going to be $130, full calendar year, $145. When you pay that fee, you get access to both gyms as well as all the different classes they host throughout the year. Lastly, when students come to UW-Stout, they will get access to 2 different buses for free. There's a specific campus shuttle called the Stout Route, runs on a daily basis from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So if you need to get from one side of campus to another, you don't feel like walking, you don't necessarily have to. We also do have a partnership with the Menominee City Bus. So for example, if you folks wanted to go to Walmart and get some groceries, all you'd have to do is show the bus driver your student ID card and you can ride wherever the bus stops throughout the city for free. So again, this is just to say all these things that you see here on the screen, they are included in the figure that you see in the first row. For the double room most popular meal plan, what that figure consists of is what a student is responsible for paying when they live in our dorm room and have 1 roommate and what students are responsible for paying when they purchase one of our on-campus meal plans. In total, we have 6 on-campus meal plans for a student to choose from. So that figure you see in the second row, it can fluctuate a little bit based on what a student would like and what they prefer. For housing, there is a general UW system policy stating all freshmen and sophomores who live more than 40 miles from the school they attend must live in the residence halls during their first 2 years. UW-Stout does follow that policy, so if you live more than 40 miles from the city of Menominee, we ask that you live in one of our dorms during your freshman and sophomore years. There are a lot of things provided in the room for you that you wouldn't have to bring yourself. There will be a lofted bed, there will be a desk and dresser for each student. Each room is also equipped with a microwave and refrigerator. Students don't have to bring that type of stuff. When it comes to having rooming on campus, a couple different options. You can always room with a friend from high school or someone else you know if you'd like to explore that option. Otherwise, there's always a Facebook page for students to connect with one another. Students are also invited to fill out a housing questionnaire. It asks you very basic questions like, are you a morning person or night owl? So you can go through, fill that out, see how other students answer those questions, try and find someone that way. One other thing, because we know sometimes it does happen, if you are in a situation where you and your roommate don't get along, please note that UW-Stout Housing can assist you with that. Initially, housing will put a freeze period on your contract. This freeze period lasts for about 2 to 3 weeks. During that time frame, housing encourages you to talk out the issues that have occurred between you and your roommate, see if you can get the RA involved, try and resolve those differences. By the end of that freeze period, though, if you folks still aren't getting along, just make sure to talk to housing. They can replace your current roommate with someone else, or they can find you a new room to live in. We want our students to be comfortable on campus, especially in their living space. So please, should you experience that, make sure you seek that assistance out from housing. And then dining at UW-Stout, it operates very similarly to a debit system. So you can let your funds run as low as you want to, you won't get penalized. You can add money to your account, won't get penalized. Most important thing, the funds stay with you from semester to semester and year to year. So it's not like at the end of freshman year, if you don't use all your funds, they're gone. They'll be there when you come back as a sophomore. I always encourage students while they are students at Stout to eat at one of our 2 cafeterias, either North Point or Commons. When you eat at one of these 2 locations, you pay a flat rate for your meal. And that flat rate does depend a little bit based on time of day. Lunch is a little bit more expensive than breakfast, and supper is a little bit more expensive than lunch. But let's say you go to Commons Cafeteria for lunch. You go there, you pay a flat rate of $2.50. With that flat rate, you get access to an entree of your choice, and there's usually 6 to 8 entrees to choose from. You also get access to unlimited sides, unlimited beverages, unlimited desserts, and a salad bar. So it's an excellent way for students while they are on campus to load up on some food. And then when it comes to financial aid and scholarships, just a couple notes with each of these topics. Specifically with FAFSA, if you have ever heard of someone filling out a form to apply for loans that they will use to pay for school, more than likely that person was talking about filing for FAFSA. When you file for FAFSA, you are applying to take out loans from both the U.S. Department of Education and the school you wish to attend. We tell literally every single student that we talk to apply for FAFSA. Biggest reason is you might think prior to coming to college for a year, you have enough money to cover everything. But then an emergency happens or a crisis occurs and now you're stuck. We never want our students falling into that situation, so we're always going to tell you to apply. You don't have to take the loans that are offered to you via FAFSA. It's just an additional resource you can rely on to pay for school. This form opens October 1st of your senior year. UW-Stout usually asks that students have that form submitted to us by March 15th. One other really important thing, FAFSA is a free form to fill out. So please, 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 if there's ever a website saying you need to give money or credit card information to fill out FAFSA, run away as fast as you can. You never, ever have to pay money to file for FAFSA. It's a free process. When it comes to the UW-Stout Foundation, there's about 100 scholarships per year that students can apply for through our UW-Stout Foundation. Really awesome thing. Every single year you are a UW-Stout student, you only have to fill out one application to apply for all scholarships you'd be eligible for. You can apply for our foundation scholarships as a senior in high school. The form opens late October and then it's due the first Monday in February. For a complete application, we need you to fill out the online form and provide one letter of recommendation. And then we do have a merit-based program at UW-Stout for scholarships called the Blue Devil Guarantee. And this program states if you are a high school senior who's admitted by the first Monday in February and you meet certain GPA and test score requirements, you can receive one of the 3 scholarships you see here up on the screen for your first year. You don't have to apply. You don't have to do anything extra. You just want to make sure you're admitted by the first Monday in February and that you meet those GPA and test score requirements. For this program, we do ask that you have both the GPA and the test score. So like for the Promising Scholarship, you couldn't have a 22 ACT and a 2.75 GPA and still receive the award. You'd have to meet both credentials. One nice thing about this program is, let's say it's November of your senior year, you're admitted to UW-Stout, you qualify for this Promising Scholarship. But then as first semester ends, second semester rolls around, maybe you've upped your GPA, you upped your test score, you now qualify for this Polytechnic Scholarship. If you fall into a situation like that, as long as you can send us updated scores by March 15th, we can reflect that in our system and up the amount of money we give you. We want to be able to give you what you have earned. So if you fall into a situation like that, please let us know. Very last thing I'll say in regards to this program, we're going to talk next about what a student needs to do in order to successfully apply to our school. For fall 2021 specifically, we are a test optional school, meaning if you want to be accepted into our university, you don't have to submit a test score. However, if you want to be eligible for the Blue Devil Guarantee and other on-campus scholarships, then you would be required to submit a test score. And if you'd like me to go further in depth with that topic once I'm done presenting, I would be happy to do so. That being said, what a student would have to submit to our school in order to successfully apply for fall 2021, we need the first three things that you see here on this bulleted list from you in order to consider your application file complete: the online application, application fee, and a copy of your high school transcripts. For the online application, we're on both the UW System website and the Common App. No advantage using one website over the other. It is completely your prerogative. For the application fee, it's $25. And then for the high school transcripts, we don't need an official copy of that document. For the purposes of admission, you can send us an unofficial copy. That will work. Once we have these three things on that are required for your application file, we'll take no more than 2 weeks to review everything and let you know of admissions decision. And then I know sometimes students are curious if there's like a specific factor or characteristic we look for when admitting or denying our students. The answer is no. What we do to make our admissions decision is we take a holistic review of all the information that's provided. When we say holistic review, what that means is, yes, we'll take a look at things such as GPA and class rank. And generally what we say is if you have a 3.2 GPA and you're within the top 50% of your graduating class, your chances of getting into our school are really, really high. However, those aren't the only things we'll take into consideration. We'll take a look at extracurricular involvement, the application essay you wrote, any volunteer work or service work you've done, any employment history you have. All those factors we will look at when deciding whether or not to admit you. Also, you'll see January 1st, that is a recommended apply by date. You don't have to apply to UW-Stout by January 1st for fall 2021. We always recommend that date because if you apply by then, you're giving yourself optimal time to get things in check like housing and scholarships. However, we do have rolling admissions here at UW-Stout. So like for fall 2021, technically you could wait till like July or August 2021 to apply to our school if you wanted to. I would not encourage that for like a million reasons, but just note January 1st, not a strict deadline that has to be met. And then when it comes to transfer admission requirements, this slide I know may not pertain to any of you. I always show it just to highlight that at UW-Stout, we are a very transfer-friendly school. So if you have, for example, taken an AP test and scored 3 or higher, or maybe you've taken some sort of class in high school that's giving you both college and high school credit, make sure to send us that information, and then we can do our part to try and reward you for college credit that you've earned. How much credit we can reward you will always be a case-by-case basis, but if you send us that information, we can do our best to work with you. And then I'd like to talk briefly about Menominee, Wisconsin, where UW-Stout is located. Menominee, Wisconsin is about 16,000 residents in size. It's a very vibrant community, and it's a community that really supports UW-Stout and UW-Stout students. However, if you ever want to explore a bigger city while you're here, we're only about an hour away from the Twin Cities and about a half hour away from Eau Claire's large shopping mall. What I'd really encourage you folks to do, if you have not heard some of the nature areas that surround Menominee, Wisconsin, please go online, take a look. I won't do it justice just by standing up here blabbling about it. We have the Red Cedar State Trail, beautiful 15-mile long hiking trail that students have really easy access to walk on, bike on, run on. We also have Hoffman Hills. It's a foresty area about half hour away from campus. There's some walking trails. There's this tower in the middle where you can overlook your surroundings. Really, really pretty. I will say that when I was a student in college, I did not attend UW-Stout, but one of my best friends from high school did. I got to visit him twice while we were both in school, and it's those areas I just mentioned, like Red Cedar and Hoffman Hills, that drew me to this side of the state once I graduated. So please, 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 when you're taking a look into UW-Stout, also take a look at what Menominee, Wisconsin has to offer, because there's a lot of cool things for students to explore throughout the city. And then the very last thing I'll say in regards to this presentation, this is not me asking you to follow us on Instagram or, like us on Facebook. I know that's kind of lame. What I will say is that if you are looking for some supplemental information about our university, please feel free to check out either one of these pages. Specifically on Facebook, there is a feedback form. So if you want to let us know how your experience was while listening to this presentation, feel free to head over to Facebook and fill that out. And then very last thing, I promise now I will be done after this slide. We just want to thank you so much for joining us today, taking some time to learn about UW-Stout. This is a map that kind of shows who you could reach out to if you have any questions about UW-Stout. For example, if you're from central Wisconsin, you can reach out to Sam. If you're from the southeastern Wisconsin region, you can reach out to me, so on and so forth. Otherwise, that's all the information I had for you folks. So what I can do now, I can kind of open it up and take a look at the chat, see if anyone had any questions.
Hey, Matt, so I have not seen any questions come through yet. We do still have some viewers on. So if you do have questions, please post those in the chat now, and then we'll make sure to get those answered for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam.
You're welcome.
I will also say, I know I ran through information pretty quick, so I totally understand if you're still trying to process everything. I kind of talked like a million miles per minute, so if you have to think about something, that is totally valid, because I know I sped through a lot of information, so I apologize for that, folks.
While we're waiting for questions to come in, a couple other items I'll mention is we do have some virtual options too. So if you're curious to explore more, or if after today you think, hey, I know someone that Stout could be a great fit for, please send them over to our website. We are taking in-person visits as well. So if you ever want to come tour the campus in person, we would love to host you and show you around. Or if you do prefer virtually, we do have a virtual tour option as well. So we're happy to accommodate in the ways that we can. Also, if you haven't had the chance, our website has some really awesome materials as it pertains to majors. So if you are in high school, maybe still kind of considering different majors or just curious what's out there, I would say pop on our website and just search for the major you're interested in, and you can get some really, really great information on that topic.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just echo what Sam said. It's pretty easy to find information about the majors. When you go to UW-Stout's homepage, you'll see the different headings. Click on academics. Literally one of the first options you'll see is majors and minors. So you can click on that. You'll see an alphabetical list of all the different programs we offer at UW-Stout. And then let's just say, for example, you're interested in mechanical engineering. You can click on that page. You can find like a program overview, program contact, lots of great information on our website.
And we have our first question. So Matt, I'll read this out loud. What kind of campus clubs or activities are available? I know on campus visitor events like the hypnotists were mentioned, but is there anything that occurs on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So going back a little bit earlier, so at UW-Stout in total, there's about 150 different student organizations, and really programs range, they have such a wide range. We have more traditional like academic programs that speak to a student's major, let's say. So I know, for example, the Society of Human Resource Management, maybe more organizations like that that are more professional geared. But we also have more unique clubs that kind of speak to students' personal interests. I know we have the Super Smash Brothers Club at UW-Stout. There's a club dedicated to watching anime on campus. There's Relay for Life, which raises money for the American Cancer Society. So there's just a wide range of different student organizations. And these student clubs do meet on a pretty consistent basis, every week, if not every other week. Sam, please.
Yeah, I was going to piggyback off that a little bit to focus a little more on some of the events versus the clubs. So we do host a free movie night every other Friday. So that's probably one of the most consistent things. So we show a newer movie title, like it sounds. It's free for you to go. So grab some friends, bring some snacks, have an awesome Friday evening. As far as other activities, those really do change year to year depending on what our student productions is putting on. So like musicians, we had Nash here not too long ago. If you're familiar with the show Drake and Josh, we had Josh Peck here. And like Matt said earlier in his presentation, a lot of those events are free for students to go to. Sometimes though, there is a cover charge. And if there's a cover charge, they do post that ahead of time. So that way you're aware of it, but they also keep the price really low. So for example, after talking with some of our students here, I know that Josh Peck show, it was $15 to get in. That's it. As far as clubs, like Matt was saying, there is such a wide range. So apart from the ones he mentioned, I know if you like to play video games, there's a gaming club called Pong. They get together, they game. Otherwise, we have things like jujitsu, boxing, snowboarding, skiing, hunting, disc golfing. So kind of a wide variety, really depending on what your interests are.
And then I'll say one more thing to that to piggyback off of what Sam said. There is also the Involvement Center, which is located in our Memorial Student Center. So if you're curious, not only to see what clubs UW-Stout has, but just to see what might be the best fit for you, you can always go to the Involvement Center, and they're really great with helping folks figure out, hey, here's a club or two that you might be interested in.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much for that question. That was great. All right, well, hang tight here for a few more minutes just to see if any other questions roll in. But as Matthew said, we just want to say thank you again so much for joining us today. It's always our pleasure to talk with you. We'll hang here, but otherwise, if we don't get a chance to, we just hope you have a really great day.
Guys, are you okay if I throw up our ending slide and we can keep monitoring that Q&A while I go through our final?
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah,
I don't know
absolutely.
what they call it on the airlines, like the final, like the exiting announcements. So we'll run through those and we can keep an eye on that Q&A too, if anyone does have any final questions. But I would love to echo what Matthew and Sam said. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, reminder, head over to wacac.com, wacac.com, because there are many more sessions that you can still attend, both today, tomorrow, and next week too. So it doesn't have to end here. As soon as I do close out this webinar, when we're sure that we don't have any final questions, you're going to be taken to everybody's favorite thing, a survey. That survey is only 4 questions though, so please, please, please take a minute and complete that survey. It does help StriveScan and WACAC improve any future virtual events. And then finally, again, a reminder, a recording will be available of today's session, again, on the WACAC website, as well as any of the other sessions that you have either participated in or just sessions that you didn't have a chance to participate in. So those are kind of my final ending remarks. I'm not seeing any Q&A action happening. So I think with that, we could probably end our session. And certainly Sam and Matthew can follow up with any questions that come to your, to your brain after the presentation ends today too. So the conversation doesn't stop here. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you as well to our participants for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.